Today, we shall review the week that was round 14. It was a week of huge scores, and I ended up scoring a 2031, which was about the middle of the pack, thanks to some of my premiums letting me down while others went huge. This put me at a round rank of 12,000, and my rank moved a whopping 67 places, although it was in the right direction, so I guess that's what matters. Looking at the team, and my backline was really good. So let's start there with Dane Zorko. He bounced back this week with 114 against the Giants. He had 26 touches, 8 marks, and a good amount of tackles. He played well and even got some intercept marks. He was on 97 at three-quarter time thanks to a big third term, but he did slow down in the final quarter, which has become a pattern this year. Still very pleased with that, and there were only 5 kickouts for Brisbane, and he took 4 of them because the Giants kicked 17 goals, 5, and just wouldn't miss. Then we had Harry Sheezel go big again, even though he played mostly forward. He came out of the blocks fast with a 50-point first quarter before just 10 in the second. A big second half saw him reach 131 points, which is awesome, and he's making up for his poor scores a few weeks ago. He seems to have got a hang of his role finally, as he went on to record 32 touches, 9 marks, 6 tackles, and a goal. By the way, that is an insane stat line, and it's a wonder he didn't go even bigger. Really good there. Then, Lucky Ash joined in the big scores with 112. He gave away 3 free kicks early, and I wasn't loving that, but I forgave him as he racked up 31 touches, 7 marks, and 4 tackles. He has been one of the picks of the season and is playing great footy in a great role. He didn't need the kick-ins to get there either, as Whitfield took 12 compared to last week's 2, yet Ash still managed to score better. I had Jack Sinclair score 106 for me, and while that got a bit overshadowed by so many defenders going huge this week, it's still a great score. From one side of the ground, he scored 74, while from the other, just 32. A meaningless stat, but still true all the same. Anyway, it seems like the Wang does have the halfback slightly more locked down than Sinclair, but they are sharing it still. The Saints just often had Wanganeen Malera as the loose player rather than Jack. Then my vice-captain was Bailey Dale, who I was extremely confident on, and he delivered. He got to like 11 touches halfway through the first quarter, and it was looking to be a ridiculous night for him. He came back down to reality with a poor second quarter, but finished well to end up with 127 points, and he's been a fantastic trade-in, where many others have failed. He got to this score without a single tackle either, with 33 touches and 10 marks to make up for it. Great stuff. Angus Clark wasn't great with a 40, but I never expected too much out of him. He'll still make plenty of cash, and I'll trade him soon enough anyway. Just before we get to mids, I just wanted to put a quick call out. The channel's been doing great recently, but I reckon this week we can get to 1,100 subscribers. We don't need many more now, so if you aren't subscribed, please help me out there. Thanks, and back to it. Marcus Bontempelli. Where do I even begin? He's supposed to be one of the best players in the comp, if not the best. He got tagged by Windhager, sure. He's a very good tagger. But 50 points is just unacceptable. I get if he can't have an impact at stoppages, but a player of his quality should be taking some big contested marks and getting forward and kicking a couple. That's what Dawson does when he gets tagged. But not the Bont. He just stands there helplessly. He's now averaging 70 for me, and in the last 2 games, Kennedy has outscored him by 100 points. And that's not to mention the forward status, which would have been handy. Connor Rosie scored 117 on Sunday against the Demons, which is great. He had 32 touches and is now averaging almost 115 in his last 5, as he's been super consistent. In his new role, we aren't necessarily seeing the ceiling from before, but he's just unlocked this ability to just reproduce great score after great score. On Saturday night, Andrew Brayshaw went big, scoring 136 points, which is awesome. That's his highest score for the year, as he also recorded his highest mark count for the season with 6 and his second highest tackles with 9. He got this score with just 31 possessions, as he finally showed a desire to kick the ball more. Easily a top 8 mid and my equal highest individual score for the round. I used Nick Dacos to loop for my captains and take Dale's score. Like Bontempelli, I am becomingly increasingly frustrated with Zach Merritt, who has been awful for me in the 3 weeks I've owned him, averaging 89. He scored just 94 this week, in what is usually a very good matchup. We saw guys like Setterfield and Caldwell go big, but the captain of the side and one of the competition's best and supposedly most consistent players couldn't get it done. He was back in the midfield too, with 74% of the centre bounces, but that didn't stop him from being a dud. I genuinely might trade him at his bye if he continues this rubbish. Not very happy. Adam Chera has been awesome in his last few, and to think I was considering trading him is just hilarious. He had 120 this week, which means that in his last four, he's averaged 114, and is almost back to averaging 100 for the season. 30 touches and 9 marks for him is fantastic, and he might be even better with Walsh now, out for a while. Sam Doherty was an awful trade-in, and that's becoming a trend over the last 5 or so weeks as I just continue to trade guys in, for them to just score 70s, or in Bont's case 50s. Last week Doc had 13 marks. This week 4. He got burnt a fair bit by his teammates, but he just didn't play well. And there he goes, back into the VFL. I was so keen on him, and his was just a horrendous pick. And then an absolute legend this weekend was Zach Johnson, the best Zach at Essendon. He scored 104 points in just his 3rd game of footy and is looking to be a really good player. He had 29 touches and 8 marks, as well as taking the most kick-ins with 5, which you love to see. He's not a natural halfback either. From what I understand, he's played on the ball for most of his footy career, but he's great so far in the role. He's made so much coin already and his break-even will be insanely low. Not to mention that in the last 2 weeks he's had 1 bad quarter and every other quarter has been around 25 or more. Just brilliant. To the rucks now. Tristan Xerri was again disappointing, scoring just 93 points against the Dockers. He gave us a glimpse of his capabilities a few weeks back, but his last couple have been really poor, and while I thought he was back, maybe he's not. He's got a good run, so he should bounce back. But this week was also supposed to be a good one for him, and he didn't deliver. Very glad I didn't captain him, as I was looking at. Then Rowan Marshall was superb against Tim English, and I was tossing up between him and Dale for the VC. In the end, I lost a whopping 2 points, which I reckon I can probably get over. 129 from the big guy. He had 23 touches, which is great, and then 6 tackles and 6 marks, which is just awesome. He's been up and down, but averaging 114 for me, which I'm very happy with. Now for the forwards, and no surprises here, but Bailey Smith was just brilliant again, and my unique captain of Dale looked a bit less impressive, as he so easily scored 136 for all the people who had the VC or C on him. 41 touches for him after missing a week for an apparent injury, and now he is averaging an insane 136 in his last 5, and hasn't gone under 119 in 7 matches. He is quickly becoming a fantasy pig and is an easy captain option every week. It's just crazy how easily he finds the ball. Then Nick Martin was good for 102. He started hot with 41 points early on, but a bit of attention was put into him, and he slowed right down. He did well to get to the ton in the end. 10 marks and 26 touches is still awesome, and he's in some great form. Christian Petrarca was disappointing to score just 81 points against the Crows. He's averaging just 86 points in his last 5 now, so he's in a bit of a slump. 7 tackles was good, but he only had 16 disposals, which is really not good enough at this point in the season. Isaac Rankine scored an 81. I'm okay with that. When I say I'm okay, all I mean is that I thought it would have been worse. But an 81 for a guy I thought was a top 6 forward isn't good enough. He could get traded, but I'm probably not looking to bring any forwards in. He's got a decent run after the bye, and surely at some points he actually kicks some goals, because that aspect of his game has been really down this season, and I'm not sure why. I traded in Archer May this week instead of Sam Butler, just to save a bit of coin. It seems I made the wrong decision, but at least now I have plenty in the bank to work with. He scored 42, which isn't the worst, but it's not great. Playing as a forward when your team loses by 100 is never going to be great though, and hopefully he doesn't get dropped. And unfortunately, Ted Clohesy was omitted after a good game the week before. And in the utility, I traded in Nicholas Madden, who unfortunately scored just 47, which I didn't see coming as a solo ruck. Only 7 disposals and not a single kick hurts. He'll still make some cash though, and I'll move him on soon enough. So that was the round for me. It was looking really good at one stage, but in the final few games, it got away from me. At least my value did go up by a little bit, although the Bont did his best to prevent it. This week, there were so many high-scoring games, and as a result, there were many ceiling scores, especially among popular players. I had 12 tons on my team and 6 scores over 120, which is huge, and even more so in best 18 format. A lot of these scores were from more unique players too, like Bailey Dale. However, I did miss a lot of big scores that most people had, like Wanganeen Malera, Max Holmes, and Caleb Sarong, who was a popular trade target. Speaking of trades, mine were not good at all. I'm glad I got rid of Hardman, and although Reed could have stuck around for another week, I'm fine with that. Unfortunately, neither of the 2 rookies I brought it performed very well, and both might struggle to play many games moving forward, especially Madden with Briggs eventually coming back. And the guy I had before flipping to Madden was Tom McCarthy, who tonned up and made heaps of coin. Trading Lindsay was a great move as he was the sub, and would have lost me heaps of coin if I'd held. And although I had the coin for almost anyone in the game, I ended up going for Doherty, who dropped an absolute stinker on my head. Other options of mine were Wanganeen Malera, Butters, Sarong. But no, I went for Sam Doherty and his brilliant 70 points. For reference, Sarong doubled that and then had 5 points more. What an awful decision on my part that was. Giving my +3 this week is going to be really challenging because so many guys deserve it. To make my decision easy, I won't go any of the premiums, and instead I want to reward Zach Johnson for his ton. A couple weeks ago, I traded him in for a 30 and thought that would mean a new red dot rotting away on my bench. But since then, he's averaged over 90 and made over 150,000. Just brilliant. Then, I don't think there'll be too many surprises who gets the -3. That man is Marcus Bontempelli, who thoroughly earned it after dropping a 50 on my head despite his price tag and known abilities. Anyway, let's have a look at the overall rankings where we've had another lead change. Cooper is now in first place, and he's been around the mark all season, but a big score from him this week has him right up there in the fight for the car. Then the highest score of the round was Kishan, who had 2,279, which is ridiculous in best 18 format. For reference, that's the same number as my highest score for the entire season, and that's with 22 on field. Oh, and by the way, Kishan also had Tom McCarthy sitting on his bench. Just crazy. In the Open League, obviously Jacob still leads, and let's all hope he can get his hands on a new Hilux this year because I've never seen someone buy right up the top of the rankings for an entire season before. We also have David, who keeps managing to edge his way further up the leaderboard and is now in 31st place. Tim is in 110th now. There are 12 people in the top 1,000, and if you find yourself in the top probably 2,000, I would say that you're probably still a shot to win a hat. Unfortunately, I think that dream's gone for me. Last year I was outside 30,000 for a long time, and managed to get myself into the top 500 at one point. But this season, I've found myself sitting in the top 5,000 for so long, and I've just never been able to make a significant move. Anyway, let's have a quick look at what trades I'm considering ahead of our trades video on Thursday. And keep in mind I have plenty in the bank to work with. I think I'm going to look to fix up some bad trades and failing premiums. Isaac Rankine is going to Kennedy, and although it's not a value play, he's a top 6 forward, and my forward line has been really struggling recently. I am also considering Jason Horne-Francis too. Then I'm going to get Caleb Sarong in, because I really missed that one, but to do so, I'll trade Sam Doherty at this stage, unless I can figure something else out. The only problem is that to afford this, I'm going to need to trade Angus Clark early, which I don't know if I want to do. But if I did, I'd be bringing Tom McCarthy in, even though it's his buy, just because there aren't really other rookie options I like. This week needs to be a good one. I have 19 premiums, which is probably very poor planning, but there will be a Bontempelli who scores a 50, and it will all work out fine. That's all for today. See you on Thursday.